Okay, another weekly update of our option trading, our cash card puts and cover calls. We'll get right into it, but not before I say you should subscribe and also warn you that this is not financial advice. These trades that I make, the ETFs, the stocks, everything are my choices. I'm just showing you what I'm doing, not giving anybody any advice at all. And quickly, this is our big buckets of money here. 10% of our total pile of money I use for option trading. And I start including that because people say you're going to lose all your money and stuff like that. So we have like a 5% of our bucket for cash and limited expenses, and that gets funded from our option trading. And this income fund bucket here that has things such as QQQI, SPY-I, TDAC, GPIQ, and like 20 other income type funds. I used to do a monthly video on these funds and what I do. And for some reason, I get all these haters like commenting on that. And I don't know, they're like doubting that the returns or something. I don't know. So the returns are easily verifiable on, different websites. So it's not like I'm lying about anything. So I don't know. Maybe I'll go back to making those videos. We'll see. Anyhow, let's get into it. Okay, here's our option tracking spreadsheet, or my option tracking spreadsheet. So for the week, let's go ahead and just see what we did here. If I highlight these right here, so between this line and this line here, this is the week that just ended. So this was for 4 days of trading because Friday's a holiday. And we ended up with $2,107. So not too bad, but it's not all great news. But I don't know. I'll tell you what the news is. So let's go ahead and look at some things here and see what we did. So I closed Uber. It had been hovering around $72. So here's $71.99. So it was actually at $71.99, even though my strike price was $72.50, and it was still in the profitable range. And I didn't want to get a sign Uber, so I went ahead and closed it early and took my $48 and reallocated that money for something else. I had a cash card put on TQQQ, and I closed that. And I had another one on NVDL, and I closed that and made $86. So we kind of started out kind of weak here. I had a cash card put on SOFI and made a whopping $34 there. And then had a cover call on BBAI. It made 80. So this BBAI, I keep kind of trying to get those shares taken away from me, kind of. So I have 10 contracts. So I have 1,000 shares. My cost basis is $442. So I only have like about $4,500 tied up into it. So it's not a lot. Actually, it's doing quite well when you figure out the return I'm getting on the cover calls and different things. I just keep doing cover calls on there, and between 1% and 2% on the money. So maybe I shouldn't complain yet. Maybe I should just keep doing what I'm doing here. Seems to be working. And I had a cash card put on American Airlines. So American Airlines, I've been doing quite well with that. However, the price has kind of shot up over $15 a share. It's been, trading between like 12 and 14 for the longest time. So I'm kind of just sitting out for a little bit and waiting to see what happens with it. If I go to Yahoo Finance here, it's at almost $16 a share right now. So yeah, just kind of keep going up. I'm waiting for it to drop like $2 to $3 a share for, some weird news or whatever. And let's see what else. So we had a cash card put on Carnival Cruise Lines and did pretty good on that one, $246. And we had a cash card put on the double leverage of Meta, METU. And if you look at this one, I got a sign. So my strike price was 25. It had gone all the way down to like less than 21. So when I got assigned, it was at 21. So my basis will be around 23.75. So the reason why my basis is not 25 is because you calculate in the money you made from the cash card put. So basically, if I sold these shares at 23.75, approximately, I'll break even when you calculate in this here 414. Now, what I'll do cover calls at probably 25 strike price and see what happens there. So Meta is usually going to bounce back eventually. So it's just a matter of like, do I want to wait a little bit before I do those cover calls to get more premium? Because I think the price is, let's see what the price is. So I've been really busy and haven't been watching things as close as I usually do. So 21.52 right now. So I'll wait till Monday and then it did go up a little bit after I got a sign, so we'll see what happens here. So, and then I had YINN, which is the leverage Chinese stock market index, made $252, but we got a sign that also. So my strike price was 30, and when I got a sign, it was 25.56. So where is YINN right now? Is 25.56. Let's see if I can refresh that, make it look better. Yeah, 25.56. And it went down. The only thing that went down. So don't know what's going on with YINN. And then NASA. So over here I put a note, first time trading NASA. And maybe it should have been the last time too, maybe. But anyhow, I did get a sign. Strike price was 35, ended up trading at 31.25. And let's see where that is at right now. This is my watch list I have on Yahoo Finance. So 31.25. So I actually got that right there, 31.25. And then I had another one on NASA. And I don't know if I realized I had 2 cash secured puts or not, but this one here I did okay with. I actually bought that early and closed it and made $146. So I'm okay there. And then had the AMZU. So got assigned that one also at 38, which is, I don't know what I was thinking there, but it is at 35. So I should be able to do cover calls about $38 here for probably July expiration because I think it only has monthly expiration dates. And yeah, it closed at like 35.43, I believe. So let's look at that one. 35.43, yes. And then Palantir Leverage Fund, PTIR, strike price 13. I only had 2 contracts and made 92 there. All right. So overall, pretty good week. Now, here are some things. I got another cash card put on Meta with a 24 strike price. Like I really thought that the $25 mark was kind of like the point where Meta wasn't going to break through. Let's look at the chart real quick. Okay, I got the chart for METU. I call it Meta, but it's the double leverage Meta. So I was thinking I must have did those back in here somewhere. Actually 25. I don't know why I did 25. That doesn't look very good. I don't know what I was thinking. 23 would be pushing it. So if I go back here and look at this range here, for the whole month of May, it was trading right around 24 to 25. So it'd been as high as 32 back around April, middle of April, and been as low as 19. So I'll just do cover calls on this at, strike price like 24, 25, whatever my assignment was. And we'll just make money that direction. I have a couple different cash card puts on NVDL. And did I close one from NVDL? Yeah, right here. Didn't make a whole lot of money, but so I used to do like 4 contracts at a time and do like weekly expirations. Like each week I'd have 4. And since the price has kind of been up a little bit, what I've been doing now is actually doing weekly expirations, but I've been staggering the weeks out. So we have an expiration date of, and I need to double check this. So it says the 26th here, and also says 26 here and 26 here. I need to double check this. I do have 2 cash card puts that I know of. This here might be a duplicate of some sort or something. I have to double check. But anyhow, here we go. Got another Meta of 23, just 2 contracts here. So that's usually more than what I like to do, but I did another one down here at 20. So I really am confident that Meta is going to bounce back up sooner or later, and I'll be okay with it. So then we have Tesla, got another one at YINN for 25 strike price. And then if you watched a couple weeks ago, I got these cover calls on Robinhood, 4 contracts total. So still a lot of money tied up in Robinhood. And then doing some cover calls on Lyft. So another one that's like BBAI. I been wanting to get rid of these shares. I got $4,500 in stock, but I just been keep making money off of it. If I go up here somewhere, I probably, like right here, made $63. Doesn't seem like a lot, but annualized, that's a 36% return, so you can't complain. And then let's see what else. We have this Bitcoin one that I been trying to get rid of also, but it's the basis is like $25 and my strike price here is 18. It's trading at like 13 right now, so that wasn't a great investment. So I still have 700 shares of SOFI, doing cover calls on those. My basis is like 25 on those and doing cover calls at 20. And I don't know, the delta is 0.21. I know my rule is don't do cover calls below my bases here, which is 25. So I should be doing cover calls at $25, but there's no premium to be had. So there you have it. So when I got rid of that one Uber one, I went ahead and did another one for July. Same strike price, 72.50. And then here you can just see a few other things. We'll talk about these real quick, then we'll wrap it up. But TQQQ, I got a cash accrued put, but the expiration is way in September. If I keep that all the way through September, I'll make $475. Now that one is actually using margin for it. And for margin on Fidelity, you don't get charged any interest for using that margin unless you get assigned. So if I don't get assigned, that'd be $474 on a investment that I'm using my money for, basically. So we'll see how that works. I mean, TQQQ is trading at what, like 80 some dollars right now? 82. So it would have to drop 50%. Now that is the triple leverage. So that means QQQ would have to drop like 16 or 17%. And then this would be down to 40. So we don't know if that'll happen or not. Get rid of that. Then UPRO, which is the triple leverage of the S&P 500, I got cash accrued put at 75 for also September, and UPRO is at 142. So same thing, approximately would have to drop like 50%. And I don't know if that would happen or not. And then something even more crazy here, I got TQQQ, another 40 strike price, but not till December. And the premium was 255. So if I put a zero in there, that'd be a $765 profit. So these three are all on margin. So that'd be $1,400 profit. And the rate of return, I call it infinite because it's not my money that I'm using for collateral. It's Fidelity's, and I'm not paying any interest on it. So it's, to me, it's a pretty good deal. Now some people will say, "Oh, it's margin. You're dangerous. You're going to lose everything." I'm okay. I've done it before. So, and then let's see what else we got. IoT, METU again. Oh, there I go. PTIR again, but this time the strike price is 10. And then for the first time, RCAT. I've been watching that for a long time. And so first time trading RCAT, and I did just a little bit, 3 contracts, $9 strike price. And I've been watching it for a long time. It kind of just goes up and down. I throw in the same category as BBAI and like Lyft, kind of, where I kind of don't really like it, but it is what it is. So it's trading 1144 right now. So let's look at the chart, see if it's ever been as low as 9. So has it been as low as 9? It was like 871 here back in middle of May. And before that, you have to go back to December before it was below like $9. So kind of just bounces up and down, and we'll see. Could be a mistake, but $2,700. It's not like I'm mortgaging my whole future on that or anything. So anyhow, that's the trades. I think I added these up. If all these would go to zero, let's go ahead and pop zeros in here. And if all these went to zero, that'd be over $9,000 in premium that is out there. So we'll get rid of these zeros because they hasn't happened yet, and we'll see what happens. So anyhow, a little side note here. If you made it this far, appreciate it. So my little side note here. So the reason why I haven't been on top of things like I typically am is just because I spend my retirement years trading options, and then I spend my free time fixing tombstones in this couple old abandoned cemeteries. I won't say they're abandoned. Our local township or county mows the grass, but that's all they do. And these tombstones are getting tipped over and messed up. So I've been fixing them. They get sunk down. So this one was sunk down almost under the ground, and this one was like tipping over. I poured little concrete things for them. So these here, I poured these concrete little pads. This one here, this tombstone was totally sunken under the ground, completely missing. This one here was leaning over real bad, ready to tip over. I have a tripod. I put a strap around the bottom and I lift up on it. And then I pack gravel underneath to keep them from tipping over. I make them nice and level. Here's a couple that were in the ground, and I made these little slotted bases for them. You see in the background here, this one here is all toppled over. This one here I've actually fixed. It was leaning real bad. It's now straight. And this one here I fixed. This one here I'm in the process of fixing. I'm just working my way that direction toward the end of the cemetery. The tombstones way over here on the edge are actually newer ones. There's still people being buried in this cemetery, even though it's kind of almost abandoned. And here's another view. This one was tipped over. I picked it up. It was vandalized back in the 80s. Somebody busted 80% of the tombstones in this cemetery, two high school kids. They caught them. They had to pay restitution. But once these are busted, you can't really fix them, once they're broke like that. And a few more. And this one was one of those that they vandalized, actually broke the top off, and nobody can find the top to it now. So kind of sad. And these two, I need to make bases for and get them setting up. So these are still laying on a pallet. They'll look like new when I'm done. So anyhow, just thought I'd share my little hobby and why I've been making less videos and haven't been on top of my option game as much as I typically am. I'm still on top of it. So I'm over at the cemetery. Sometimes I'll take a break and I'll go over and look at my phone and see how things are going. So my routine, I usually spend the first hour after the market opens here at home and see what's happening, sell my options, whatever I want to do, or close options or whatever. Sometimes I'll put limit orders in to buy back an option or even sell an option if the price gets to a certain point. I'll put in a limit order for the day, see what happens. And then if it gets exercised or whatever, good. If not, whatever. So that's my hobby and keeps me out of trouble. And really, so here's the thing about it is because I'm able to sell options, I was able to retire earlier than other people do at my job that I was doing. It was a very easy job, easy physically, mentally, it's kind of tough. I wrote textbook curriculum stuff for technology, if that makes sense, for colleges and high school textbooks, basically. And it's a lot of research, a lot of staying on top of things. So when Microsoft would come out with like a new server feature, I would write textbook content for that new feature. So I'd have to like figure out how it worked and then test it and then write textbook content. However, it's, kind of boring. But so anyhow, the option trading, I was making pretty good money selling options. And actually the option trading is pretty much replaced my take home pay for my job. And I only spend like I said, maybe an hour a day doing it. If it's raining out, I might spend a little bit more time on it because I got extra time at home. But the thing is, I showed you my hobbies because now it allows me to do things that I really enjoy. I feel better inside doing stuff, fixing up the cemetery than what I did getting paid to write textbook curriculum. The cemetery stuff is a lot more fulfilling. And really, it makes no difference in my standard of living. I've got the same income. It's just I don't get paid for the cemetery stuff, but it doesn't matter because I have income coming in anyhow. So money is not an issue. So that's nice. If you stuck with me through all this, I appreciate it. We'll see you in the next video.